Hello there, welcome to another video for my visual library series. I'm still working away here trying to put it all into this thing, putting it all together. This one's kind of different. I've sort of applying the Reilly method specifically over top of an existing illustration or to sort of try and apply the principles that I'm learning to practical portraiture. So I hope you like it, and if you're a James Bond fan, you might enjoy it. All right, I'll check in with you guys later. Okay, so I thought it might be fun to take what I've been learning through my studies and try to apply it over top of, uh, I guess, an existing photograph. So it's kind of like trying to take the tools that I'm learning for invention and then use them in a practical sense to create an accurate portrait, I suppose. Now, I don't take this finished drawing super far. It's more of just an exercise. So the finished drawing is more like just kind of a sketchy line work. But here you can see I'm just sort of taking the Reilly method and just transposing it over top of a face just to kind of get a feel for, like, does it apply and how do the proportions work? And I felt like it's actually kind of neat when you do an exercise like that where you're applying the Reilly method or any sort of proportional drawing method over top of an existing face. You kind of get an interesting read on what a face looks like. So after sort of like just studying a little bit, I then proceeded to try and use the method to draw Sean Connery freehand, I guess. So the process was like, I mean, you can see here, I'm using the exact same system that I used in the stuff when I'm doing the invented sort of portraits. The interesting thing for me, that one of the things that I found interesting about this exercise is sort of still not understanding or not having a deep understanding of the planes and the masses of the face yet. So these divisions and stuff work in terms of setting up the structure as an overall sort of thing, like I guess the shapes, but it doesn't really inform the masses and the tones and how things actually go in space on the planes of the face. But I mean, in some sense, I'm sort of relying on my understanding and knowledge of drawing to fill those gaps in. It would be nice to get to a place where I feel confident no matter what sort of approach that I'm taking, whether it's line work or something more like tonal drawing. Either way, I would like it to be accurate and I would like to feel confident with how I'm rendering stuff. Rendering with line is not my strong suit. It's not something that I've ever really been comfortable with. It probably comes partly because of how I grew up as a young artist. 90% of the time I would render things using pencil or graphite, and I would put the graphite down on the paper and then I would blend it out using a blending stick or my finger, and I would just try to get these real soft sort of transitions in tone. And strive towards sort of these photorealistic representations using graphite, which is not a bad, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just sort of, that was kind of how I used to work all the time. And partly it was, I think probably partly out of necessity, because as a kid I never really had access to inks. I didn't really start playing around with ink until late high school, I guess, probably late high school or college, when I started to kind of look at micron pens and using a brush and India ink and things like that. And so hatching, like you're seeing here, I'm trying to sort of depict the forms of the face, and cross hatching is just not my strong suit. And it's actually, this sort of what you're seeing here with me trying to figure out how to render this form is totally 100% akin to my whole process right now of trying to understand proper proportions and how to draw the face, how to structure things. And obviously I'm starting with the face and I'm going to move on to other parts of the body, but it's the same thing. So without having proper knowledge, really what I've been doing is drawing what I think a face looks like, or what I how I understand the form of the face to be, so where the cheek muscles are and stuff like that. I've been relying on my own understanding and just rendering what I think it looks like. So like an approximation, right? Rather than a very strongly informed, knowledgeable rendering, it becomes sort of a game of like, it kind of looks like it. Does this sort of look right? Yeah, good enough kind of thing. And I would just like, I'm trying to alleviate that in my own processes. I'm trying to get away from sort of relying on my own level of understanding and actually being able to see and then apply that seeing to the completion or the rendering of something. And I mean, I think it's a healthy process to really evaluate what I know, so that and honestly just be like, okay, what do I actually know? So here's the finished sort of first pass. And then I thought, after completing that, I thought it would be fun to see how close I was in my rendering, kind of just looking at it and drawing beside it. So I took it, I sort of threw it on another layer in Photoshop and just transformed it down to fit the proportions of the closer proportions to the photo. And then, then it's like, oh, okay, I could see right away that it wasn't 100% accurate. So then I started just kind of took the lasso tool and started bumping the drawing around, moving the features of my drawing around to kind of match with the placement of his features on his face. And like, I think what I had was a close approximation, and I think if I had shown that drawing to somebody who didn't know what I was drawing, and if they were familiar with James Bond and with Sean Connery, they would be like, oh, that's James Bond, that's Sean Connery. I think the feel was there, but again, it's just sort of like pushing myself to get a deeper grasp and stuff. So I thought it'd be fun to explore this approach and then throw the corrected one beside the original one, and just sort of, you can see the difference there, kind of squishing the features. I don't know, I have a tendency to kind of put the nose too far into the face and things like that. But anyways, this was a really great exercise. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys get something out of it too. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you later. Until then, be good to each other. So I'm going to be trying to make my YouTube channel a little bit more accessible. I'm going to be asking you, if you'd like, you can click one of the links on screen to watch a video that you haven't seen. If you'd like to subscribe, please click the subscribe button. And if you would like to leave a comment, I would appreciate it. I will check in with you guys next time. All right, take care.